Hey there, VCE HHD students. My name's Andy. I'm a VC Health and Human Development teacher. In this short video, we're going to look at some VCE HHD exam frequently asked questions, and this is relevant to Unit 3 and 4 HHD for the 2025 plus HHD study zone. Before we dive into this video, there's a range of ways you engage with the Health Resources Hub. If you're not already, if you're on YouTube at the moment, you can subscribe with the button in the bottom corner of the video there, and that means you'll get alerts to all of our new videos as they come out across the year. Also, our website, the hrh.net.au, there's opportunities for HHD students and teachers, so please check that out. We've got our Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook pages where you can follow us and get alerts to our new videos and other opportunities, and also our email, info@hrh.net.au, if you'd like to get in touch. So this video here is obviously looking at some frequently asked questions in the lead up to the Unit 3 and 4 exam this year, and so it's a good opportunity to answer some of these common questions in case you're also wondering them as you engage in your exam preparation. Before we dive in and look at some of those frequently asked questions, if you're looking for some Unit 3 and 4 HHD A+ course notes to help you with your exam preparation as well as practice questions, there's some now available via the link on our website for all of Unit 3 and 4 Area Study 1 and 2 across both of those different units. And so lots of students have been engaging in these and finding them really useful because maybe they haven't been on top of all of their notes throughout the year, or they're looking for some extra practice question opportunities. So if you do head to our website at the hrh.net.au, you'll see there's a student drop down, and if you have a look under there, there is a link to the A+ course notes and practice questions where you can place an order for those. Okay, so here are some commonly asked questions by students in the lead up to the exam. I know lots of students I've taught have asked these questions to me as they start their exam preparation, so I thought I'd go through and try to do my best to answer them. So the first one there is a really common one. Students want to know, can they use abbreviations in the exam? And so it's important to note that the exam at the end of the year is scanned and it's uploaded and it's marked a question at a time by exam markers. And so that means in relation to any abbreviations that you're coming up with that are not part of the study design, that you need to make sure that you write the term out in full first. And then if you're abbreviating it, such as health and well-being, you put the abbreviation in brackets that you're using, and you only use that abbreviation for the remainder of the parts of that particular question. So for example, A, B, C. If you then move on to another question and you want to use that same term again and abbreviate it, you need to write it out in full, okay, and then abbreviate again. And that's because, as I said, the exam is marked at the end of year, a question at a time by examiners. So you can't rely on abbreviations that are being used across different questions because it won't make sense to the examiners. You can only use it for that one particular question. And then if you want to use it again, write it out in full and abbreviate again. Now, there are terms in the study design that are already abbreviated, such as the SDGs, and those terms you can confidently use, okay, in a sentence as an abbreviation without writing that in full first. But if that was the sole answer to a question, for example, the Sustainable Development Goals, if that was the sole answer to a question, you'd want to write that out in full always and not abbreviate it. Only if it's part of a sentence would you use that as an abbreviation without writing it out in full first. Hopefully that makes sense. The next one there is, can you use pencil in the exam? So it's advisable to not use pencil, okay, because the exam, as I mentioned, is scanned and uploaded. And so you don't want, if you're using pencil, okay, for that not to clearly come across when it's scanned. Also, you don't want that opportunity for you to obviously smudge, okay, your pencil as you're writing your answers and not be clear when that's scanned and uploaded for markers. So it's recommended that you use pen, or if you were using pencil, it needs to be a really good quality one so it would scan well. Can you write below the line? So I'm sure you get some advice on this from your VC coordinator at school, but there are additional lines at the end, okay, of the question and answer book where if you need to continue a response, you should finish your response down there instead of writing all the way below the lines in the actual exam, because once again, as I said, the questions are all scanned, so you don't want them to chop off your answer. Instead, just write a little note such as continue to the end of the paper or refer to the back of paper, and make sure you clearly number your continued answer and complete that at the additional lines at the back of the paper. When should I attempt the section B extended response question? So obviously this is like a personal choice, but I typically would recommend to students that they're attempting this section B, and remember this is new in the exam for 2025 plus the 10-mark extended response question in section B. I would typically leave it till the end of the exam. So I'd go through and do all of section A and leave myself 15 or 20 minutes to do section B at the end of the exam. That way you don't unintentionally spend too long perhaps on section B. If you were to perhaps start with it and then maybe spend, okay, say half an hour on that particular question there, and that could be detrimental to completing all of section A. So I just give yourself about 15 or 20 minutes to complete section B and just leave that till the end of the paper. And then if you've just allocated yourself that time at the end of the allocated time in the exam, you can't go over because the exam will be over at the end of that. How many trial exams and past VCEE exams should you complete before the exam? So obviously there's a whole heap of company papers out there as well as past VCEE exams, and I've worked on a couple of the ACE Unit 3 and 4 trial exams for 2025, which you might be able to access through your school. So lots of students want to know how many past exams or trial exams should they be completing, okay, before the exam. And I always say that there's no set number that means you'll get a certain study score. But obviously, if you're doing, okay, more trial exams, hopefully that means you're being exposed to a range of different questions, which could be similar to the ones that come up on the exam. And so if you've got that experience by completing them in trial exams, that might help you in the lead up to the exam to be prepared for those types of questions. And also trial exams can help you to work out what you maybe need to continue doing some revision on, okay, in preparation for the exam. But there's no set number that means you'll get a certain study score. I often say to students, that's what you do with those trial exams that's really important. So making sure that when you have completed them, you spend quite a bit of time going over your responses and thinking about looking at the assessment guide or getting feedback from your teacher, okay, and thinking about if you didn't achieve full marks, what you need to do in the future if you see a similar question to make sure you do achieve full marks, because it's really learning from these past VCEE exams and trial exams that's most important, I think, in terms of your exam preparation. But in saying that, I'd probably, be trying to do between at least 5 and 10, okay, trial exams or past VCEE exams. Obviously, it depends on how many other subjects you're juggling. Sometimes students in year 11 have less commitments, so they can do a whole heap more than that. But if you're also juggling a number of other Unit 3 and 4 students, okay, then it might be difficult to get, okay, many more than that done. But that will hopefully at least expose you to a range of questions, which will help you to prepare for the exam. And then the last one, where can you find more trial exams and practice questions? So lots of students want to know, especially in the first year of revised study design, where they can find additional trial exams and practice questions. Obviously, get in touch base with your teacher about getting access perhaps to some different company exams like the ACE ones that I talked about before. There's also obviously the past VCEE exams as well, but be careful of those because sometimes some of the questions in them won't be as relevant to the revised study design this year, so you need to check with your teacher about that as well. There's also the revision question book that I've mentioned a few times in different videos throughout the year that I've worked on to ACE this year. It has a full trial exam in it with sample answers as well. And there's also those practice questions I mentioned at the start of this video here that we've got available via the link on our website as well if you're looking for additional practice questions. Also, just a reminder, I've got a number of HHD exam revision lectures coming up for the organisation ACE. If you're interested in attending some of these, you can see there's those dates available. They're all running online, so you can join from anywhere in the state. There's the revision questions book that I was just talking about there. You can bundle that together with a revision lecture ticket as well. Okay, hopefully you found this video useful. Thanks so much.